Hello everyone and welcome to Grandstand Sports Data. In today's video, we're going to show you the secrets on handicapping the NFL. What we're going to do is we're going to show you all the important statistical factors, all the important fundamental factors, and then what to put into your model if you're building one for the NFL. So let's get right into it. So starting the fundamental factors, you're going to look at coaching. And I break this down into four parts when it comes to coaching. You want to look at the play call tendencies. Are they aggressive? Are they conservative? Did it work? When they were aggressive, did it work? If it's a more style like Dan Campbell, where he's always aggressive, does it work? Does it not work? Same thing with conservative. Did it work? Did it not work? You want to measure all those types of scenarios when it comes to play calling. And I know some of you guys are going to say, well, the head coach isn't the play caller for the team. I got it. I'm saying if you're handicapping a football team, it has to come down to the coach. It's easier to handicap the coach and label it as his play calling because he is the boss and somebody who was making the play calls is working for that boss. Next, you want to look at game situations when it comes to coaching, or maybe better known as clock management. Clock management is real important when handicapping a coach. You could see that in maybe some teams that have a lot of success in ending drives with the score going into the half. What about vice versa? It also tells you bad things about a coach that's maybe messing up the clock and then his team isn't able to get those points in the half right before halftime. Those are some little things that you could see when handicapping and then kind of put that label if it's a good coach or a bad coach. What about the adjustments? Are they making adjustments? Do they make good adjustments? Do they make bad adjustments? Do they not make adjustments at all and they just go by a play script? This is also something you want to take a look at. Finally, what I like to look at also is timeouts and challenge usage. Are they making these timeouts and challenges early in the third quarter, and then by the fourth quarter it's a close football game, and that team doesn't have either or, and then a tough play is gonna have to go the other way because of that. Maybe they don't got a challenge. Maybe they don't got timeouts and can't stop the clock late in that football game. This tells you about the coaching, and it kind of goes back to clock management as well. Next bullet's going to be player versus player matchup. You want to look at positional matchups in this to maybe first start off. Look at the strengths, look at the weaknesses. A good indicator of this is offensive line versus defensive line. What's the strengths? What's the weakness? Is a certain line, maybe the left tackle is out, and then the quarterback's going to be running for his life if he's going up against a good defensive line. Something to take a note of when you first start. Also, you want to look at recent form. How well has this player been going? Has Justin Jefferson had 3 consecutive games where he's at 150 yards or more? The guy's going off. It's something that you have to account for when you're handicapping in sports. Historical matchup is also the final thing we would look at in player versus player matchup. Is there a certain wide receiver that just has that cornerback's number? Well, if you keep track of the historical matchups when it comes to player versus player matchups, you will have that edge. Next will be scheme matchups. How well does the spread offense work against a 4-3 defense? Well, if you track these, you might be able to identify an underdog. You say, well, this team A is not as good as team B, but the style that they run may be good against them. This is something that you will uncover in those scheme matchups. So style versus style. Next, and I used to push back on this when I was younger. Now that I've gotten older, it's actually kind of opened my eyes. It's the schedule, it's travel. It affects teams negatively because they cannot sleep in their own beds. Believe it or not, rest and injuries, they just can't do it as well and more efficient when you're on the road. Some people will say, well, you're getting paid the big bucks. You got to get over it. I tend to agree to a certain extent, but numbers work in favor of that travel. Teams' win percentage dropped 3.5% for every 620 miles flown. That's something to say about travel. Next would be rest. Since the talent gap is so slim in the NFL, one team not getting the proper rest compared to the other can weigh heavily on an outcome. This is why you see a lot of handicappers. They'll bet a favorite coming off of a bye. So since they are the favorite, they're projected to have the better players, better coaches, and then they have that one extra week of to heal and prepare. That's why you would bet a favorite coming off a bye. Next, for fundamental factors, we'll go with injuries. Just for injuries, I want to kind of, people freak out when they see a guy in the injury report and it says probable or questionable. Let me just get this out there. A player that's probable from game number one in the NFL all the way to today, so however many years, if a player is listed as probable, he plays 95% of the time. So if you see a probable next to one of your favorite players, there's only a 5% chance he's not going to play in that game, according to history. That's just according to his history. Now, if he's labeled as questionable, he only plays 32% of the time. So there's a huge difference there. Difference between probable, a difference between questionable. This can be included in your handicapping. Now, if the player doesn't play, what's the drop off to the backup? That is something you need to account for. That's going to be huge in your next level investigation when you handicap in football games. Now, weather. We're going to look at wind precipitation and temperature. I'm no meteorologist, but I got the numbers here that will help you in betting for NFL. The games played with 20-mile-per-hour winds or more, they have great negative impact on the quarterback play. Always bet the under in these games. Okay? 20-mile-per-hour winds or more. Games in bad precipitation, this means rain or snow, do not have a negative effect on a quarterback's efficiency. So he's able to be efficiency, but you'll see production stats like touchdown passes and yards, they take a minor hit. Now, staying on precipitation, both rain and snow benefit the home team because of being used to the elements. This leads into dome teams. They carry the highest home field advantage. That's statistically. Their home field advantage is better. Dome teams. Temperature is very misleading. Always bet the over in cold games as the production usually never takes a hit. Now, technical factors. This is more of your stats, more of you model builders, or just getting started in a model. We want to take away the stats that don't matter. These are the stats that matter. You want yards per play on offense and defense. It's a great efficiency measurement to show how well a team moves the ball and prevents their opponent from moving the ball. Next is going to be passer rating differential. This has been a huge prediction indicator. 80%, that's right, 80% of all Super Bowl champions have finished in the top five in passer rating differential. And 50% of all winners finished in the top two. Crazy numbers right there. Next is adjusted net yards per attempt differential. This is very much like passer rating. This stat also correlates well with wins as well, but it factors in sacks where passer rating does not. Next is going to be Pro Football Focus player grades. You're going to do this for, help with that player versus player matchup. It will also help you determine the drop off from the starter getting injured to the backup. It works well for our models here at Grandstand Sports Data when factoring in our preseason power ratings by plugging in free agents acquisitions. That's another thing you can do as well. Finally, look at DVOA. This is defense adjusted value over average. It calculates a team's success based on the down and distance of each play during the season. Then calculates how much more or less successful each team is compared to the league average. Think of it like this: for teams to get to get to the end zone, they have to get first downs, they have to gain yardage, and this metric, it measures both of them. So we're going to finish off our technical factors. And how we're going to finish off the technical factors is with the 5 factors of football. It's pretty much the same as college football. If you checked out that video, it's efficiency, explosiveness, field position, finishing, and turnovers. Efficiency, you could look at score percentage differential. So take the score percentage of each team, and that's how you would factor efficiency. Explosiveness, this would be points per play differential. So not yards per play, but points per play. That's going to measure the explosiveness of a team. And then also do it for the defense as well. Next would be field position. Now, teams who have better field position, they have a better tendency of scoring more points, and then vice versa. I had a bigger pushback on this when I was younger, but the more I see it, it actually tells you something. Finishing drives is also another one. You can look at red zone percentage differential. There's also better statistics out there, more than just the red zone stat, but it is important for telling you how well a team can finish and how well a team cannot. Last would be turnovers. I like to look at turnover percentage differential. That's more of I like to know how many percent of drives finish in a turnover rather than just the total number of turnovers in their differential. So what about modeling? And what should be included in your NFL model? Well, first you have to collect your data or statistics. This is the base of every model. You could use any statistics you want, but I provided a good starter pack back in the technical factors slide. So all those technical factors that I mentioned, you have to use those in your model. Next, you should think about adding fundamental factors as well by putting a number on them. For instance, can you put statistical value on coaching? What about PFF player grades for player matchups and the drop off if a player is injured compared to his backup? You can also keep records on how well some schemes play against others. Track the number of miles a team is traveling and how many days off rest they are coming off as well. Remember, with your model, you must test, 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 and then improve, improve, improve. This will give you the best quality results. So if you need guidance on where to go from here, this is step-by-step model building illustration from us at Grandstand Sports Data and how we build a model from top to bottom. Number one, we collect and analyze data. This is what we just went over in the previous slide. Number two, we develop the model. So using your statistics, we create a model that can accurately predict the future of performance of a team or player. So this can be anything from regression analysis to Monte Carlo simulations. You can dig as deep as you want, but make sure the prediction output is bettable. Next would be confirming the model. This is testing the model's accuracy by comparing its predictions with actual results. The next step would be optimizing the model. So this is making adjustments to the model to improve its accuracy. This could also be done by assigning weights or comparing multiple models into one big model. Next, we deploy the model. This is putting the model into practice by using it to make predictions. This is where you'll add your predicted odds so you can compare them to the odds of the market to see if you have an actual betting edge or not. And finally, and most importantly, we track the model. Track the model's performance over time to ensure it will always be accurate. So, like always, would like to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more helpful betting tips and analysis. Don't forget to like, share, and comment if you found this video helpful. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the next one.